Yeah, good evening, everyone. Once again, I welcome you all. It is so good to host you all. I request once again everyone to switch on their videos, commit your attention. As I already mentioned, uh, for people, of course, there are a lot of participants, and we won't be able to take all mock interview for everyone, right? It will just be one person. But for people who are not directly giving mock interviews, can take pen and paper and note down things that you can pick up for your interview, good things that you can pick up for your interview, and things that could have been improved. So by the end of this session, you should have some pointers on things that went well and you can replicate in your interview, and things that you could have improved, maybe, right? Something like that. Of course, the mentor is here. Mentor will give you feedback at the end, but again, you should also have a point of view. So once again, I welcome you all. One very important fact that people miss out is we'll start in a couple of minutes. Before that, I'll just finish and introduce our mentor, and then we'll start. When there is a war, right? I don't know if you've seen any war movies or something. Goes on is a lot of preparation, lot of planning. The tools that are used are prepared. They're sharpened. If it is a talwar, if it is a sword, it is sharpened. All those things are taken care of. So mock interview is that preparation for the war, which is an interview for you. So if you go into the war without any preparation, you are bound to lose, right? So mock interview is that preparation, is that practice that you need to give yourself before your final interview, which is a war, right? So that is how mock interviews help you. ऐसा नहीं कि you just wake up someday and go in an interview without any preparation. Most likely than not, you will underperform, and that is where your preparation comes into picture, and mock interview is one of the best ways to do it. And it is we are going to in future conduct lot of these sessions in different domains with expert mentors who've been in the industry for long years, right? So I hope you utilize this time well. Take down notes. Of course, we have a fantastic mentor, Mr. Jairam. I've only heard good things about him. He's ex Big Four. He's currently at BDO, and of course, a fantastic journey. Mr. Jairam, thanks for joining and for your time. For people who are connected from YouTube, it takes a lot of effort in organizing sessions like these. Please do share a thumbs up and a like. Also, if you have any doubts, for all the people who are connected here and on YouTube, you can ask any doubts that you have towards the end of the session. The flow will be like, we'll select one person for the mock interview. There'll be a mock interview taken by the mentor. You can take down your notes, and towards the end of the session, we'll give the feedback for the session. Right, Mr. Jairam, are we ready?
Yes, Umang.
Your voice is not audible.
Okay. Is it audible now?
No, your voice is not audible.
Is it audible now?
Oh, it's audible. Okay.
No, is it audible now?
Got it. Okay. I don't know. There's some problem at my end.
Okay.
Now you're audible. Yes. Now you're audible.
Audible.
Thanks, Mr. Jairam, for joining in. Thanks for your time, and of course, all the participants who joined in. As I said, we'll take all your doubts at the end. For people who are connected from YouTube as well, you can put your doubts in the chat box. So I'll just ask before we start. Right, we'll need to pick one person for the mock interview. Is there anybody who is prepared that their resume specifically for IDT? Is there anyone who has prepared their resume specifically for IDT? Yash is there. Yash, can you please send your resume on the chat so that the mentor can see? Yes.
Sumang, can we start? Can we start now? Or yeah, I've received the resume. I can download
No,
that.
so you received the resume. Yeah, you can download it and then we can start. So Yash, I hope you're ready. I mean, there's nothing to be scared of. So I
Yes,
just
sir.
asked if you're ready. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a minute. I'll make you I'll add you to the spotlight. Okay, great. Over to you, both of you. All the best.
Sure, sir.
So Ayush,
Good morning. Good
welcome to
evening.
the interview.
Hmm.
So, I'll go through your resume in detail. So why don't you brief or run through about your background and what is your preference and why are you here?
So, good evening, sir. My name is Yash Gupta, and I have done my schooling from Adarsh Public School, Vikaspuri, New Delhi, wherein in class 10th, I got a perfect 10 CGPA, whereas in class 12th, I scored a 95 percentage, and overall, my rank was fourth in my school. After that, I have joined SGTB Khalsa College to pursue my BCom honors. It is situated in North Campus, wherein simultaneously I started my CA journey as well, wherein I cleared my CPT and CA intermediate exam in both in first attempt and have scored 5 exemption in CA intermediate. During my college days also, I was very active in co-curricular activities, and I was one of the founder of a CA cell in my college known by Enkindle Minds. After that, I have joined my CA articleship after completion of my graduation in Sunil Goyal and Associates, wherein I was actively involved in GST return preparation, tax return filing, statutory audit. After a 18-month stint there, I joined GoDaddy India as first hired intern of GoDaddy or in their global finance team. I am the only hired intern there, wherein I was actively involved in preparing GSTR 1, 3B, and GSTR 5A, which is we return for OIDAR service entities because we are e-commerce service provider. Further, I am also actively involved in DGGI notice, wherein our company has to submit a detail of equal versus GST returns. So I'm actively involved in that litigation. Moreover, I am regularly involved in GST refund application and GST refund appeal related application because we are a huge exporter of service to our parent entity. Further, I also deal with equalization levy and equalization levy return, income tax return filing of my company, and other day-to-day tax compliances, be it transfer pricing or you say master file filing, etc. for my company. That's my briefing.
So thanks for the introduction. You have a good amount of experience, is what I can guess.
Yes.
Right. So, so why don't you continue in the same company where you have worked like as an intern, right? So why are you looking to change? Now you're qualified, you can continue there and then help them grow.
So I'm willing to continue in the same, but the growth opportunity by package wise or other things seems little bit low because it is a tech company and I'm limited to a particular sector. I want to further diversify my profile and grow and looking for further better opportunities and not restricted to a tech related company.
Okay. So since you mentioned that you have experience in OIDR compliance, right?
Yes,
so there is a quite a good change or a welcome change that has happened in the
in recent
50th council meeting.
Yes,
50th are you aware about that and what is the impact on the industry as a whole?
So first of all, I tell the change that happened in GSTR OIDAR entities. In GSTR 5A, only B2C supplies are there to be reported. For B2B supplies, we don't have to report any transaction because we do not claim any ITC, neither we transfer ITC because our B2B customers are liable to file their GST return and pay tax on RCM basis. Whereas in the 50th council, they have mentioned us that all B2C transaction along with B2B transaction now have to be reported. But as of now, GST portal has not activated that service. So currently for the past month, we have filed only B2C services. Moreover, it is a very welcome step as I see from my company's standpoint point of view, B2B and B2C reporting, as it helps us to access the data in a clear shot. Moreover, it also helps us in complying with the notice and preparing reply for the notices that we receive in income tax or from equalization levy. Because currently we have received a notice wherein we have to compare a equalization levy data with GSTR return, which will never match because in GSTR, we are only filing B2C return details, whereas in OIDAR's Form 1, we need to file both the details.
Okay. So will this increase the compliance burden or reduce the compliance burden? What is your take on it?
So it will increase compliance burden slightly because, by the way, for direct tax compliance purposes, we need to have handy that data, but slightly a minor effect would be there.
Okay. So what are the other challenges you face in this particular sector from GST perspective?
GST perspective. So first of all, the current upcoming challenge is the e-invoicing that is applicable from 1st August, wherein on real-time basis, we have to generate e-invoice, which for a company like us having operation in 150 plus countries and generate complying with the invoicing requirement of each and every country on a real-time basis is a pretty technology point of view is a pretty good amount of task that we are facing as a difficulty. Moreover, complying with equal and GST and ensuring that same data to all the authorities are being given and there is neither mismatch of a single line item, because every day we have a lakhs of transaction. So that is a pain point from the GST point of view, because sometimes customer ask us, oh, sorry, we forgot to submit our GST, and now please amend your return and give us back as the GST component, or we have done something, we have given you some wrong information, please amend our invoices. That's create a huge burden on a tax team for compliance perspective.
Okay. There is also one more update I remember in 50th GST Council with respect to B2C supplies. Any idea of that?
Pardon, sir, I don't remember. B2C supplies only, they are saying that we have to pay ours on tax on ours, collect tax from customers, and B2B RCM basis. They were mostly saying that for better visibility to our customers, you should report B2B transaction only.
Okay. So when did you file GST 3B last? Since you are working for BDO, are you filing GST 3B or?
Sir, we file GSTR 3B for Indian entities, and for our foreign parent company, we file GSTR 5A on 20th.
Okay. So there is a quite good amount of changes that have happened in GST 3B reporting with respect to July 2022. So what is the reporting requirement before July 2022? And what is the reporting requirement after July 2022? And how does it impact the sector as a whole or industry as a whole?
So first reporting requirement that I remember is regarding of ineligible credits. Earlier, there was not mandatory to report or the ineligible credit, but now onwards, we have to compulsory report the ineligible credit part. From compliance point of view, we were already reporting that since our first GSTR return, but it was mandatory from that point. And second, I remember was related to ITC earlier, wherein if ITC is not appearing in a GSTR 2B, we can claim up to 20%. Then it reduced to 10, then 5, and now it has come to 0. One reporting requirement was that.
Okay.
So 2, I remember as of now.
So when you're filing GSTR 9C or you're preparing all the reconciliation with books or your GSTR 9, so there could be a couple of items which are always to be reported as reconciliation items. So will you be able to elaborate what are those, and can you explain the reconciliation items?
So first thing my company regularly faces is related to FX transaction. Foreign currency fluctuation is a very big amount of chunk that we have to face as a tax consultant. So there is always a difference from day one, and we cannot mitigate that because of currency fluctuation and reporting. Second, US GAAP and Indian reporting perspective got a slightly variation. So from GST point of view, we have to report our transaction as and when they occur. Whereas from audit standpoint of view, revenue recording happens on a different principle. So from our financial statements and GSTR returns will never match, and we have to reconcile the same. One difference is that. Second, sometimes there is delayed in reporting or some TP adjustments are there. So TP adjustment forms another part in our working.
Okay. So, so you must be having some shareholding of the subsidiary, right? Shareholding of subsidiary is held by someone outside India,
Yes, sir.
right? So whether that is a supply or whether GST has to be paid on the holding of shares by holding company in a subsidiary.
No, sir, we do not pay any.
Any reason for that?
So they are holding as a share capital, and capital transactions are not in purview of GST. And they are holding even before GST regime started. So nothing has happened. I have not seen anything like that.
Okay. For example, the Indian entity has engaged a courier agent to transport or to some shipment to your US entity or US customer or somewhere, right? And then Indian entity has paid the consideration to the courier agent, and courier agent is taking the goods and shipping to outside India. So whether this is subject to GST, will it qualify as an export? Second question is, what is the place of supply in order to determine whether taxability is there or not?
So when we pass on the goods to transfer agent, so there he is billing directly to us. So that we have to pay, we are liable to claim ITC on that. And it is a supply in India, and supplying goods to our US entity. Yes, falls in the export.
Export by whom? Export by the Indian entity.
Yeah.
And what is the place of supply for the courier services?
Sir, India only. Our registered office to be precise.
So since you have worked on refunds, right? So you have applied for refunds and all. So I'll give you a couple of numbers, and I want you to work out and tell me what is the eligible refund in that case. If you have pen and paper, take it out and record. So consider this as an export without payment of tax under LUT. So you have input tax credit for the tax period is 50 lakhs. And out of that, there is some amount which is not available in GST 2A or 2B, which is 2 lakhs. And you have export turnover is 1 crore. And you have the realizations that I have made during the tax period is 1.5 crore.
FIRC you are talking about.
Exactly. And you also have certain domestic supplies, which is amounting to 75 lakhs. And closing balance as on the date is 75 lakhs of ITC.
Closing balance.
and closing balance of the end of the tax period that we're talking about is 25 lakhs.
End of tax period, sir. Can you please elaborate that one?
So suppose you are filing for a tax period that is from April 20 to March 21. So at the end of March 21, the tax period, the closing balance of ITC is, you can write it down as 35 lakhs, not 25, 35 lakhs. So just go through the numbers. If you need any more details, ask me, and you have to let me know what is the eligible refund for this tax period with the given numbers.
So one question, all are 18% assumption?
Yes.
Sir, can you please repeat the numbers?
Sir, is it 20 lakh? I'm correct.
So your answer is 20 lakhs, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next question. So yeah,
we will discuss this answer is right or wrong after interview.
Yes. So for example, so when do you require to generate e-way bill?
As soon as the movement is about to happen.
Okay.
And since it remains valid for 24 hours, so same.
Okay. So are there any cases where, there will be chances that there will be difference between GSTR1 and e-way bill data in terms of values?
Yes, probably there, if we have reported our booked our sales on bill say last 30th and goods movement take place on 1st and we generated our e-way bill related to that on 1st, but as per GST we have to book our sales prior to that and not on the actual movement of goods, whichever is earlier we have to show us. So in that case there could be a variation.
Any other case?
As of now I am able to think that.
Okay. Do you see any exemptions from generation of e-way bill? Any exemptions?
E-way bill, if the value is below 50,000 or it depends upon state to states. For Delhi it is 50,000 and in West Bengal there is a slightly higher limit, and moreover exemption from e-way bill if there is a high security item like money is being transported or gold jewelry or defense items is being transported. In that case e-way bill exemption is there.
All right. Okay. So how about e-invoicing? E-invoicing required for whom all, what all transactions, and are there any cases where there will be differences between GSTR1 data and e-invoice data?
GSTR1 data and e-invoice. Ideally, it should not be there because e-invoice should, as per law, it should be generated as and when transaction is happened. Because if e-invoice is being applicable to you anybody, so if we say hand over any invoice, it's just a piece of paper to the B2B customer. He cannot ideally claim ITC on that. So actually, there should not be any difference. If there is difference, the party needs to generate relevant e-invoice, be it e-invoice, sales invoice or debit note or credit note related to that.
Okay. So for example, you're approaching March closure, right? For a year, March closure you are approaching. There are a lot of things to be done during the March closure. So from a GST perspective, you see any important changes that you have to suggest to the clients in terms of changing anything in the process or anything in the year-end closing process?
So my suggestion would clients to be first, all their parties from their bill are pending, or they need to do a GSTR to a reconciliation, so that wherein any difference they find out, they can easily communicate it to the party and they can simultaneously amend their return, because it is easy for the another party or vendor to update before the March end closing. So one advice would be mine. Second, all the invoices, backup, all the data should be handy. And in case of any difference or net of entry, knock off entry has to be passed, all the entries should be posted in the books of accounts, because of audit trail, or if you are using SAP, knock off entry would not be possible, and it will be a stat entry we need to post, which stat auditor will point out an objection in that. So all the knock off entries, stat entries that are required, write offs entries that are pending, all needs to be done.
Okay. So since you spoke about reconciliation for the year-end closure, for 17, 18, 18, 19 period, the reconciliation related, there is some relaxation given by the government, subject to some complaints. Are you aware of about that?
18, 19. They defer it by 2 years. What I remember, that government, there was a notification that COVID extension period was granted. So,
Okay.
and 9C was belated return we can file, amnesty scheme was launched.
Okay.
The rest I don't remember currently.
Okay. All right. So there is a case where there is a vendor who is supplying goods and taking goods, and he's taking input tax credit as eligible as per the rules, right? But he is never paying GST liability in cash. Always he's using credit balance that is available. Okay. So is there any restriction in order to use complete input tax credit for output tax liability, or are there any, or there is no restriction they can claim without?
There is a rule 89, 89 or 80 series, I exactly don't remember, wherein 1% of the total liability we have to pay in cash. However, this rule will not apply if the director is paying 1 lakh above of tax in direct tax or paying electricity bill. So there is some relaxation in that point of view.
Okay. Just give me a moment. All right. So I'll also give you one more scenario with respect to computation of net tax liability, right? I'll give you some numbers of tax payable, ITC, all these liabilities that you require to compute under an offset, right? So first is tax payable you have in IGST 20 lakhs, CGST 15 lakhs, and SGST 15 lakhs. You have reverse charge liability of 1.5 lakh CGST, 1.5 lakh SGST. And you have ITC balance for that period, IGST 2 lakhs, CGST 45 lakh, SGST 45 lakhs. And there is no opening balance of input tax credit for that period. Now, with this example of the numbers, I want you to answer 4 questions. Question number 1, what is the tax payable in cash? Question number 2, what would be the closing balance of ITC under each head? Question number 3, consider this return is delayed by 5 days after the due date. What would be the interest liability? And the late fees has to be paid on this.
Interest and late fees.
Yeah.
Sam, I'm ready with answers.
Yeah, please go
So cash tax liability would be 3 lakh rupees.
ahead.
Closing ITC balance would be IGST 0, CGST and SGST would be 22.5 lakhs. And in late fees would be 500 rupees, 50 for each head. And for interest amount would be 740. 18% for 5 days on cash tax amount.
Okay. So now, so there's something called capital goods that are required to be used for the business, right? So what it means by capital goods as per GST law, and are there any restrictions in availing input tax credit on capital goods?
The capital goods are basically fixed assets which are generally not movable in nature, like data centers, servers are there. For a restriction, there is a under Rule 17(5)(b), there is restriction like on we cannot avail it on cars or washing machine, fridge that we purchase, something like that items. There is a restriction on same. Fixed asset in laptops would also be covered in fixed asset.
Okay. And can I claim depreciation on the capital goods if I claim ITC?
So for on ITC portion, not. Suppose if after GST the invoice amount would be 118, we can claim 18 rupees as ITC, and rest on 100 we can claim depreciation, or either we take 118 as depreciation and not, then in that case we cannot claim ITC on that.
Okay. So for example, I have purchased some laptops, right? And I've capitalized and I've taken input tax credit, and I've not claimed depreciation on the input tax credit, as you rightly mentioned, right? For example, I've sold those capital goods after a year, right? Do I need to pay GST on that sale of laptops? If I have to pay, what rate and what value I have to pay?
So first of all, on the sale of laptop, suppose if we have sold laptop, for total billing would be 1,000. So 18% GST inclusive of that we need to pay on sales, as we need to show them sales. Simultaneously on ITC that we have taken, we need to reverse that ITC, because for claiming for capital goods, we after 5 years we don't need to reverse the ITC. But if we sold our fixed asset before 5-year period, then we need to reverse our ITC and specifically report a transaction in GSTR 99C because there is a capital asset, and in this there's a specific reporting is there, whereas in 1 and 3B there is no as such specific reporting.
All right. And there is some concept called works contract service in GST, right? What all categories of transaction will be qualified as works contract service, and what are the restriction in terms of taking input tax credit and the exceptions available?
So currently, I don't remember.
It's all right. Okay. And there is Schedule 3 available in GST Act, right?
Yes.
What is Schedule 3? And yeah, you can tell that. I'll ask the follow-up question.
Schedule 3, I think, list of exempted items. Am I correct?
Okay.
List of exempted items.
Okay. All right. So will I be able to take input tax credit on the supplies made which are covered under Schedule 3?
No.
Okay. And if suppose there are some common supplies which are used for exclusively or which are used for taxable as well as Schedule 3 transactions, do I need to do some reversal as per the law?
Sir, yes, first we have to take entire ITC and simultaneously then reverse the particular amount after proper due calculations.
Okay. So after the latest GST Council meeting minutes, there is lot of news on online gaming sector, online gaming industry. So what is the change that is proposed by government in the council meeting, and what is the overall impact on the industry?
So after the latest decision, they have from 18% GST, they have moved to 28% GST. So, and moreover, the calculation of GST criteria has also changed. Earlier, only the winning amount was there on which tax was charged and collected. Now the entire stake involved, the winning portion, entire stake won, or in that government is asking GST. Further, TDS rate is also rose to 30%. So it has impacted the 10,000 crore industry very much. And there is a lot of hue and cry in the industry circle with the government, and several MEIT, Ministry of, has also asked the finance ministry to review their decision, and they are in these talks with them.
So as per your own assessment, you think whatever government proposed is right?
They specifically target online gaming industry with such a heavy taxation and from immediate effect will hamper our industry. Moreover, it is a 10,000 crore plus industry, and if we do the taxation like that with immediate effect without taking into consideration the stakeholders involved and taking their inputs, entire gaming industry could be shifted to outside. And moreover, current trend also show that the gaming industry have started shifting to Singapore and Germany. They are now the huge hotbeds for gaming industry.
Okay. There are some supplies which are procured from an unregistered person by a registered person. Okay. So what is the reverse charge implications on the suppliers purchased from unregistered person?
So if the registered person want, either he can disclose that same in a RCM transaction, or generally it is not necessary that if we are purchasing any goods from or taking services from any unregistered person, we do not pay any tax under RCM.
नहीं रख दो अरे नहीं रख मंडे सैलरी आ जाएगा नहीं रख अरे पकड़ो अरे रख चलो 500 आएगा उसका 20 रुपए दे रहा है.
So can someone go on mute? Someone call Johnny. Johnny Gomes.
Hello.
All right. So I'll ask you one more question, right? You can say it's a last technical question. So we have GST law, which is GST Act. How many GST Acts are there in the entire law?
So every state, 29 state plus 7 union territory plus 1 IGST, 37.
Okay. And so we have different set of rules also as well, right? So CGST rules or different rules that are there, and there are a lot of notification that are there, and
Yes.
also the circulars. So what is the relevance of each? What is the relevance of act? What is the relevance of rules, notification, circular? Can each one override? If overrides, who will have the superpower?
The act will override the rule, and rule will override the notification or circular. And notification and circular are basically recommendatory in nature, not until and unless they are not published in official gazette and they become a rule. For example, if you say that the Delhi government has released one notification regarding questionnaires related to amendment that people generally for adding place of business. So there was notice that unnecessary question was being asked by GST officer. So Delhi government has released one notification regarding that, how the officer needs to question such amendments or GST registration question.
Okay, all right. So you mentioned in your resume that you are co-founder of some society. So how do you want to manage, if you are continuing that, how do you manage the job as well as that whatever activity that you are doing?
So, sir, society was in college time. I was actively involved. After our college, we hand over to our juniors, and same thing works in Delhi University. Now, I am only advisor to them. If they have any questions, or if my junior have any questions related to our industrial training, articleship, so they take advices from us. We have a separate group. Actively, I am not involved. And moreover, it is general trend in Delhi University. Once you are pass out, you are not actively involved in this student societies.
Suppose you joined a firm or you joined a company, and you started your day or started your career. So once you join, so people are seeing you as a new person or a new entrant, and they are not easily mingling with you, or they're keeping you side, right? So what is your reactive action to handle that situation? How do you settle down there?
Whenever we go to a new place, it's not necessary that everybody will like. And what first we need to understand what are the practices that in content industry is going on. First, I will try to learn and adapt to the things that is actually going. And after 6 months and 9 months, when I'm in and out, I know everything about the same. Then you can force my viewpoints, or I can say that I have learned this and this could be done in a better way. Initially restricting and would cause conflicts.
Okay.
Initially pushing my ideas would cause a conflict.
Okay. All right. So I've completed the interview.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Mr. Jairam, what we'll do is before you give the feedback, I want people who were watching the interview, I want you all to type in the chat what was your perception about the interview, what went well, what are some things that could have been improved, right? I'm sure Yash will take it only in a positive spirit. But for all of you, I want to know what all thoughts came to your mind during the interview. Can you please type in the chat?
Yes, sir, but chat is disabled.
I'm enabling it. I've enabled the chat. You can type in the chat. Somebody can speak, unmute and speak. That is also fine. What about body language? You've just written body language. What about body language? Good interview. Great questions. Okay. Can others please mute? Can others please mute? Wait for the question to complete. Good technical knowledge. Interview questions were brilliant. Okay. Very technical, thought provoking, and lot of knowledge. Okay. Okay, okay. He interrupted the interviewer first. Okay, knowledge, good knowledge, but too long description. He know everything about GST. Great interview. Select. Great. Okay. Jairam sir is great. That we already know. We hear that from a lot of students. Eye opener. Okay. Great, yeah. Good to know. Good to know. Yash, what do you think before Mr. Jairam tells you what went well, what could have been improved? What do you think? How did it go?
The few points I need to brush up, I was not recalling was a schedule 3. I have revised, but I didn't remember at the time of the questioning round more and one or e-invoicing, e-waybill part. Though I am not actually dealing with e-waybill part because I do not in my current company I do not have not generated any invoice e-waybill from past 18 months. So that's concept need to be
Yes, of
brushed.
course. You don't send domain names via transport. I can understand. ठीक है. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Yes. Otherwise, Mr. Jairam is
Umang, your voice is very low. I cannot understand.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. Yeah.
Yash, anything else? Otherwise, Mr. Jairam will give you the feedback.
this feedback.
Over to you, Mr. Jairam.
Okay, all right. So thanks for everyone's comments, right? So there are a lot of comments, there are varied comments. When a lot of people are gathered, obviously we'll get all new thoughts, new brains, right? So people who are telling that it is too technical. So I've not asked anything on the case laws, right? I've not asked anything on some principles that are there in the case laws, right? So I've not asked a lot of questions on amendments as well. I've just touched on the latest 1 to 3 amendments. That's it, right? So, but overall, Ish, you have done it very well. So you have answered most of the questions, right? You have not passed. You have passed at either 1 or 2 questions, but you have attempted most of the questions. That's a good thing to see. And also the accuracy levels are good. The question that you have answered because you have carried a good practical experience over your articles, over your industrial, training. So I can see that you have answered most of the questions correctly, but I'll also give you question by question feedback, right? So that you will understand what is that is something that you have to prepare or just revise before the interview, right? So yeah. So basically the overall the starting was good, right? So because all the questions were expected that whatever you have done, OIDR, impact, B2B, B2C, right? So the change that has come, why the government has asked to report B2B invoices, right? So because there are a lot of cases where DGJ has initiated investigations and then has asked to submit who are all your suppliers, who are all taking services from you, because many are not paying RCM. That's
Falsely
what
claim,
they
falsely giving the STR number.
exactly. So to avoid all those litigation related aspects, the government has come up with whatever requirement of registered, unregistered concept, right, in the reporting. So that is the addition that you could have added, right? Because you know what is going into that industry. You should have added that is the practical challenge and government has solved it. And it is one way litigation free, though it is a more complaints, but it is a litigation free and more welcome for the ease of doing business. Right? Okay. And e-invoice, e-invoicing challenge you mentioned, that is absolutely fine. And yeah, so GSTR 3B, I've asked what is the change before July 22 and after July 22. One you told ineligible, one you told e-invoicing. But the main important thing that auto population, the figures from GSTR 2B and the way you report table 4, table 4A, 4B, and 4D, right? So all those things have changed compared to the previous one now, right? So earlier you used to take all net off of eligible match credit, but now we have to report everything and then carry forward something not reconciled, something not received in 4B, right? And then at the net you will take the eligible credit, right? And then you have to show somewhere wherever you're reclaiming the credit, which is already reversed and reclaiming in future when there is some other report. This is all new nomenclature that have come after July 22 and before July 22, right? And reconciliation items, you told FX transactions, that is one of the reconciliation items. You could have told more reconciliation items, like for example, stock transfer, transaction between distinct persons, and credit notes which are not credit notes which are not taxed, right? Credit notes which are not impacted for the tax credit notes, or deemed supply transactions which are there in Schedule 1. So all those things you can add. There are a lot of reconciliation that you can keep getting apart from Foreignex and apart from the accounting adjustment entries. And the courier transaction, obviously courier outside India, right? So the question was on the courier related transaction, whether it is what is the place of supply and what is the tax implication. So tax implication, obviously tax has to be paid, but the place of supply is where the goods are going, where the goods are delivering. It's placed outside India, but it is taxable. That's what the clarification that is there. And shareholding activity, shareholding by holding company to subsidiary, obviously you told it is not, you're not aware, but there's a lot of litigation on this aspect as well. And there is one circular latest which government has clarified that it is not a supply and it is not subject to tax. And refund scenario I've given, you told it is 20 lakhs. So before going to the what is actual answer, what will actual working and all. So you should have asked more questions in the scenario that I've given, because I've given you what is input tax credit, but I've not told what is the breakup of inputs, input services, and capital goods. Yes, you should have asked that. Also, you should have asked that in the amount that is not available in GST 2A. Okay, yeah, and the amount somewhere it will come is around 28 odd lakhs. That's what the correct answer will be. All right. And GSTR 1 versus GSTR e-way bill, what would be the items where e-way bill will be there, or what will be the difference related items, right? One you told is a timing difference. And when I asked about e-way bill related, immediately you told that 50,000 below, it's not required. So that is also one of the item where it will not be there in your e-way bill data, but it will be there in GSTR 1, right? So all those kind of examples, like services, you could have told, debit credit notes, you could have told where there is no involvement of movement of goods, right? Yeah. And GSTR 1 and e-invoice. So e-invoice, GSTR 1 difference would be B2C supplies, where you don't need to generate e-invoices. E-invoice is required for B2B. And yes, here you did not attempt the answer completely. The question is asked, what is e-invoice? What transaction e-invoice is applicable? And then I've asked GSTR 1 versus e-invoice. So you have directly answered the last one, but you missed to answer the first two. So you have to be attentive to the question that is asked, and complete answer you have to give for entire. That's where the listening skill will be tested out in the candidates. You have to listen the question completely and you have to answer each and every part of it. All right. And yeah, and year-end activities, you told credit reconciliation, that is fine, no issue. And 17, 18, 18, 19 related, there is a circular recently, right? Wherever there are 2A, 3B differences, the taxpayer is required to get declarations from the vendors or CA certificates from the vendors, right, in order to accept the differences that are there between GST 2A and 3B. There is a circular that was given in December. You probably should go through that. And ITC on capital goods, that's the correct answer. But when sale is happening, sale of capital goods, you told two things. One is tax has to be paid on the consideration. Second, ITC reversal. Both are not required. So the 18.6, section 18.6 talks about what is credit reversal as per computation of Rule 43 based on those basis points, or tax on consideration, tax on taxable value, whichever is higher, that you have to pay. You don't need to do both. All right. And works contract service, you couldn't attempt. That's fine. You can go to that. Schedule 3 transaction is not exempt as such. It is supplies which are neither treated as supply of goods nor supply of services. That's the description of Schedule 3. And these are not considered as an exempt as such for the purpose of ITC reversal, wherever there is a common credit. So only 3 serial numbers are considered for exempt for the purpose of section 17. One is land sale, second bond-to-bond transfer, third high C sale. Only 3 transactions are considered for the purpose of ITC reversal. Online gaming industry, you have given your perspective, right? That's fine. So you should also, you are telling from an industry perspective, you're not telling from a government perspective. For example, if I don't charge on the gross gaming revenue, then how can I catch you? Right? The people will earn money. So and tax they are not paying, right? So how can I catch? So you have to also think from a government perspective and also add why government has come up with that, and then so your answer is one way. It should be both ways. Yeah. Supply form unregistered. You said it's RCM is not applicable. That's correct. And last question was law, rules, notice, notification, circular. So here you could have elaborated your answer. So law is something which is approved by Parliament and has to be complied with. And two, in order to comply, the procedures and all will be given in the rules, right? And various things, because law, whenever any change has to be happen in the law, again it has to go and get the Parliament assent, all those Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, all these things has to be happen. So wherever some important items which can be taken out from the act, it will come as a notification, right? As per the powers that are there in the act or approved by Parliament, those powers. And circulars are more from a clarificatory nature. Whatever compliance, it's all from a clarification or interpretation of intention of the law that keeps giving in the circulars. Yeah. All right. I think so. That's the overall feedback on my question. I hope you got an assessment that where you have told correct answer, where you have given a best answer, where you have given answers where you need to. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Yes, Umang, I've given the feedback.
Uh,
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are audible now.
Great. Great, yeah. I'm sure you all of you had a fantastic session, an eye-opener session. And I hope you've taken a lot back from this session. And definitely we'll keep doing mock interviews for other domains as well. Yeah, so stay tuned, and we'll meet you soon. If there are any questions, we can take a couple of questions, and then I think we'll conclude in a minute or two, if that's fine.
Yeah. So before that, why don't we tell about that masterclass?
Yeah. So, just in case, for all those of you who are looking to upskill yourself in IDT, we have a masterclass. You can go on to camonk.com. In the masterclass section, you will find the IDT masterclass, which is taken by Mr. Jairam. It's a fantastic masterclass. You can see for yourself. You've seen the mentor. You know the kind of knowledge that he has, right? So of course you can go on to the website, check out our masterclass. It's at a very affordable price. If you're looking to upskill, serious learning, that is a place.
Yeah, just to add, Umang, so the main intention of that masterclass is just because people might have gone for exams or people must be away from practical aspects 6 months to 1 year. So to revise weekly, to revise all the things, conceptual knowledge, and also various practical scenarios that are you might have covered, you might have not covered during your articleship, which will get covered from each law, each provision perspective. That's the value addition that you will get based on that class. Yeah, over to Umang.
Great. Is there very less vacancy in the IDT domain? Incorporated updates as well. If you have any specific question, you can put in the chat. If they're relevant, we'll pick it up. Otherwise, we'll call it a day.
Okay, so Umang, I have seen one question, difficulty level of the question on the indirect tax.
Okay.
So basically, this is the way one can assess, right? So it can be difficult for someone, it can be moderate for someone, it can be easy for someone, right? So it's all depends on the experience that you have. So most of the questions that will be asked, you can say 30-40% of the questions that will be asked based on your practical experience to test the accuracy or to test whether whatever you're claiming is correct in your resume. That is the first thing. So since here Ish has a lot of experience on OIDR, so that's the reason the initial part of it on those things. And also you have to prepare yourself for the toughest, so that any kind of question that you should be able to handle it, right? So it's all depends on different persons evaluation. So I want to do evaluation in this way, someone wants to do evaluation in a different manner, but you should be prepared with entire conceptual knowledge, be it small, be it big, be it a proviso, be it a second proviso to a provision, right? So you should have the conceptual knowledge and the practical application of everything that is there in the law. Yes. Yeah, so I think someone has asked, is it fully amended? The amendments are going to come in the master class in very few days, right? So all the amendments which are required maybe for last 6 months and all, which you need to prepare, that will get added in the class. Is he selected? Yes. So if I have a chance, so I'll put him for the next round. So that's what it should be done. All right. Kumam, back to you. I think we have taken a couple of questions.
Yes, great. Yeah, I hope you've taken a lot from this session back, and I hope you've had a good amount of learnings today. Definitely, we'll continue sessions like these for other domains as well. Until then, stay tuned and keep learning and have a good day. Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. Jairam, for joining in. I personally had a wonderful time hosting you all. So thanks a lot. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.